The Forbidden City, China, during the Qing Dynasty. Prince Su is having a party at his mansion. It's so packed with guests that even the servants are having trouble moving around. Then people notice a middle-aged servant twisting and winding through guests and tables, holding trays and cups, but moving with such skill that he didn't spill even a single drop of tea. This man is Dong Hauchuan, and his art of Bagua Zhang has finally been revealed to the public. Bagua Zhang, or the 8 trigrams palm, is one of China's 3 internal martial arts styles and features highly unique twisting and circular movements that are unconnected to any other martial art in history. No one really knows where Dong Hauchuan learned it, and in this video we are going to give you the story of the most mysterious martial artist in Chinese history. Dong Hauchuan, originally named Dong Mingkui, was born in Zhujiawu village in Wen'an County in Hebei province in either 1797 or 1813. The village is close to Tianjin and about 100 miles south from China's capital, Beijing. In his youth, Dong supposedly learned the martial arts styles that were popular in the village at the time and trained with his cousin, Dong Xianzhou, who had participated in a failed rebellion at the Forbidden City in Beijing and had escaped and returned home to his village to hide. Now this is where the story gets a little murky. Dong Hauchuan was supposedly influenced by his cousin into opposing the Qing Dynasty. China's Qing Dynasty was one of the periods of foreign rule in Chinese history where the Manchus, a northeastern people, not ethnically Han Chinese, had conquered the whole of China. And this is supposedly the reason why in his late teens, Dong Hauchuan embarked on a quest to travel throughout China and learn more about the martial arts. Now whether this was true or not was debatable, but he was known to be an upstanding individual with a strong sense of justice. And this is probably why one fictional Chinese movie about Dong Hauchuan portrays him using his kung fu skills to rid his hometown of opium dens. At this time, he is also said to have changed his name from Mingkui to Haichuan, which literally means rivers and seas, to avoid causing trouble for his family. However, whether you search his original name or Haichuan, it is very hard to find any official record of him during the time that he was traveling around China. Yet he traveled for 40 years. Some historians say that he traveled around with anti-Qing rebels and that's why he remained hidden. There's a theory that he was close with Haichuan, the leader of the Taiping Rebellion, and that Hong later sent him to Beijing on a mission to assassinate the emperor. Now, there are reasons why this story doesn't really make sense, and we'll get into that later. Sometime in this 40-year period, Dong Hauchuan is supposed to have learned his martial art from a Taoist master in the mountains. Yet no one really knows the identity of this supposed Taoist. Some of the folklore surrounding Dong Hauchuan talks about a Taoist master named Coiling Cloud Taoist who lived in Coiling Cloud Cave. There's also talk of someone called Bicheng Xia, yet even Dong Hauchuan's own disciples gave completely different stories on how he learned Bagua Zhang and who he learned it from. So it seems that Dong was intentionally cryptic and may have never actually told anyone the true origin of where he learned Bagua Zhang and why he was the only person to publicly practice it. Some historians think he learned it from a martial artist in one of the rebel groups that he joined, or even that he created it himself. But personally, I think that's not likely because the martial art is so unique and rooted in the I Ching and the Taoist theory of Bagua, or 8 trigrams. So the story of him learning it from a Taoist on a secluded mountain actually makes a lot more sense to me. It would have to have been created and passed down by people who had the time and focus to work on something so profound and in-depth. China had, and probably still has, many masters living in the mountains who don't casually reveal their abilities to people who do not walk the path of the Tao. So perhaps Dong did become a disciple of a secretive master for several years before leaving and returning to human society. That could be why at first he didn't reveal his skills, and then when he eventually did, accidentally, he never gave a clear explanation of where the art came from. Anyway, let's fast forward to Dong Hauchuan arriving in Beijing, possibly on a mission to assassinate the emperor. Although, like we said, this is unlikely. I think his anti-Qing sentiment was grossly exaggerated because many of the students that he would teach later are actually staunch Qing loyalists. It is also said that he entered the Forbidden City as a eunuch and ended up working in Prince Su's mansion. The eunuch story is also unlikely. By the time he turned up in Beijing, he would have been 50, maybe even 60 years old, depending on which of the two commonly quoted birth dates you hold to be true. And it would be unlikely for a man of that age to go through the castration procedure. It was mostly young boys that this was done to, and it would also be unlikely that someone with superb martial skills would allow their body to be weakened by such a procedure. He was most likely employed as a guard, some say a gatekeeper, at Prince Su's mansion, and that was likely based on martial arts skills he had demonstrated, but not using Bagua Zhang, just demonstrating other more regular arts that he had learned. Now we get to the dinner party story. Now some people say he was just serving drinks or food and twisting and turning around between the tables. Some say he was holding a load of trays and he saw a child fall from a roof and he leapt really fast to go and save the child, and he did it without spilling a single drop of tea or food or whatever he was holding. And just like that, his skills were exposed to the public. Now there's no actual historical confirmation that this story ever happened, but there is indeed a record that he did work at Prince Su's mansion, and he may have been a eunuch, or he may have faked that he was a eunuch to get the job. After news of Dong's unique martial arts style became known, many elite martial artists came to challenge him. There are many stories of Dong's ability to get behind his opponent in the blink of an eye. And after many of these elite martial artists experienced this, they asked to become Dong's disciples.
师父在上，受弟子引服一拜。
His most notable disciples were Yin Fu, Cheng Tinghua, Ma Gui, Liang Zhenpu. And three of these students created the most common three styles of Bagua Zhang: the Yin style, the Cheng style, and the Liang style, based on what Dong Hauchuan had taught them, which was slightly different for each person. In his later years, Dong Hauchuan lived in Ma Gui's house, and he died in 1882, supposedly around 69 years old. He is buried in Beijing. Although Dong Hauchuan's legacy is preserved by his students, many questions about the man himself remain, like where did he learn his art? How did he come to be the only person in the entire world, publicly at least, to practice this martial art that seemed to have no connection with any other martial art in China? And what did he do for the 40 years that he disappeared for? All these questions make him the most mysterious martial artist in Chinese history. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe if you're new. If you'd like us to cover some other mysterious martial arts figures in Chinese history, do leave a comment. Zhang Sanfeng, the creator of Taiji boxing, is also another one that has a kind of mysterious background, so we may follow up with a video about him in the near future. But for now, 再见.